All right. Hi, hello, everyone. As advertised, we're back this week with another little bonus video on Friday the 13th. I said this would be a tier list, and I was being truthful. This is going to be like a little tier list of, spoiler alert, Jason designs. You probably saw the thumbnail and were like, you already know. But yeah, that's basically what this is. So I just pulled this off the internet, like off Tier List Maker. So there are a few on here that like I don't really know. So they seem to be from like Roblox or something. I love Roblox, shout out Dress to Impress, but we're gonna be sticking to basically just the movies and like a few video games that I know. So let's just kick it right off. Let's get into part one, Jason as a kid. I am quite a big fan of this design, and I'm honestly gonna put it in B tier. This is one of the most unique Jason designs because obviously he doesn't look like this in other films. He gets grown. I think it is a little bit silly, but I feel like that ending jump scare at the lake is one of the best parts of that original film. And so much of that comes down to how good the Jason design is. It's simple, but it's effective. I'm just really a big fan of it. Like, it works, you know, and of course elements of this would be taken into his further designs, like the baldness, you know, like the facial deformities. So I think this was a good place to start, and I'm happy putting this at B. Y'all know, if you see my video on the Friday films, the first one, that I love the first movie. I think it's very good in many ways, and I think a little kid Jason is an easy highlight of that first film. So B placement for me. So moving on to part two. This is Sackhead Jason, you know, when he had the bag on his head. And honestly, some people don't like this design. I personally think it is pretty great. I'm going to put it in B tier with the original Jason design. I'm out of cran pomegranate juice. It's really bugging me. You know, I need to stay hydrated, especially as I'm talking. My pause in a second with some cran pomegranate. I might do that now, actually. Yeah, where's that go? Hell yeah. It's been a long day, man. Wonderful. So yeah, like I was saying with part two, I'm a pretty big fan of this design. I feel like it is unique. Jason, again, does not look like this really anywhere else in the series. Of course, after this, in part three, he gets the hockey mask. And I feel like this is just a really interesting design. I feel like it's inspired by The Town That Dreaded Sundown, if you've ever heard of that movie. The killer basically looks exactly like this. And I do kind of like this for how it gives Jason this more backwoods edge in this first film. Just overall thinking about Jason in this movie though, there are some issues I have. I think that he's not as physically imposing as I think Jason should be. And sometimes that works. You know, sometimes he is more intimidating when he is like more human. I'm actually a big fan of those portrayals. But for this one in particular, Jason was just a little bit too small. And he's just not really the Jason that I feel like we know and love, and the one that works best in these films. So he gets put in the B tier, I think, which is fair. Moving on from there, we have Jason from part three. This is, of course, where he gets the hockey mask. Iconic, I think, iconic look. And for me personally, this is an A tier look. This is an A tier look because you have not only the hockey mask, but you also have Jason looking perhaps the most physically imposing in any of these movies. Like, I love Kane Hodder to death, and he is very physically imposing as Jason. But here, just the neck muscles and the size of Jason feel so threatening, especially when you're viewing this film like with Chris as the final girl, and she's so, I guess, relatively like small compared to him. Hello. Okay, I had a brief interruption, but I'm back. Y'all don't know about that because like the magic of editing. But okay, yeah, back to talking about part three, Jason. I put him in A tier because he's just really physically imposing, like I already said. And then I also love his face reveal. I feel like this was the Jason that creeped me out maybe the most as a kid. Just that scene of him running after Chris, like when she's on the boat, just terrified me. Like Jason running always scares me. That's honestly why the Hatchet movies, if y'all know about those, very Jason like adjacent. He's like Jason if he was just running all the time, and it's scary as shit. Yeah, I give this Jason a solid A. I think it's great. Okay, moving on from there, we're going to get to part 4, the final chapter. As y'all will come to see next week, one of my favorite Friday movies that I have a lot to say about. So get excited for that, the second part of my Friday video essay. But in terms of design, I'm gonna give this Jason an S tier. This is kind of my favorite style of Jason. So first off, he's a little bit less physically imposing, which could be a detriment for some Jasons, but for this specific design, I think it works because this Jason feels much more natural and human, but also still very like powerful, in a way that's very scary. He feels like a real, just like crazy guy that's out trying to just hurt people in a way that part 3 kind of felt like this lumbering, like giant, kind of larger than life figure. You know, part 4 feels like kind of a realistic person that's just, you know, wearing a hockey mask, acting crazy. So I love that. And then the face design, perhaps the best face design of the whole series. There is one that we'll discuss later that might have a better face design, but this one really is amazing. Yes, beautiful, beautiful face design on this one. And then, you know, everything looks great. The hockey mask looks great. I just love the performance here of Ted White as Jason. This is a really great movie for Jason in general, and, you know, shout out this design. So following from that, we're going to get to part 5, which we start off with. We have Dream Jason, which I'm putting in the S tier too, because this is basically just the part 4 design, but a little bit decomposed. So like, could I even put this lower? Basically everything I just said about part 4 applies. You know, this Jason is a little bit more human-esque. The mask is a little bit rounder, I guess. And I just like the whole proportions. And I feel like I kind of wish they would have gone with this look more for part 6 when Jason comes back, as opposed to the look they did go with. But, you know, I like both of them. So from there, we get to the main part 5 Jason design. That Dream Jason is just at the start. And that is, of course, Mr. Roy as Roy the paramedic as Jason. So this Jason, for me, it's gonna go firmly in the either the D or the C. I'm thinking I'll leave it in the C. I'll leave it in the C. And here's why. It's something different. I think that's pretty rare to come by in franchises as long as Friday the 13th, especially when you get to like the 5th entry. And it is something different, and I can appreciate that. This Jason is a lot smaller, a lot leaner in a way that I don't think really works that well. I don't like the blue on the mask, but I do like the head design, like the special effects on the Jason head, which of course is a costume worn by this random guy. And then there's no real face reveal here because it's just Roy, so that definitely docks it some points. But I like this Jason. I like this Jason more than most people do. And I think the climax of this movie at the farmhouse or at the barn is just really solid. And I liked how this Jason works in that climax. So something different, doesn't quite work, but I'm a big fan of this film as well. And I think the Jason is pretty good. So moving on from there, we have part 6. This is Jason Lives when he is resurrected. And perhaps my hottest take here, I'm putting this in the either the B or the A. I think it's gonna be in the B. This Jason, so the face, I like the face design, but it's not on screen for very long. This image here, it's clearly taken from like an action figure or something, which displays the face design a lot more, but the face isn't really seen that much in the film, which kind of loses some points for that. I feel like the performer for Jason here, you know, this is the point where Jason is a zombie. I feel like he should be a bit more lumbering and big. The performer isn't as big as maybe like a part 3 Jason. So I don't feel like that aspect works that much. And I've never really been a fan of like the like dark brown or like discolored like skin on Jason, like the rotting skin. I feel like I like it when it has a little bit more of that human touch, which I feel like this just kind of lacks. You know, he looks very much like a mummy in some ways, or just like, I don't know. It's less like, it's less human. The fact that Jason was a human for 4 films kind of makes me want a bit of a human element to a Jason design. And I feel like after Jason passes away in part 4, when he's resurrected, sometimes they can slip a little bit too far and just making him look like a generic zombie. And I don't always love that. I like my Jasons with a little bit more flair, you know? So this is kind of a little bit of a basic design. And then I don't know if I'm in love with the tool belt. Yeah, although I do like the components that carry over from parts 3 and 4, mainly the green, you know, like shirt, and like the work pants, I think are cool. So going from there, we have part 7, and y'all, basically to nobody's surprise, this is the one I reserve for the double SS tier. This is, yeah, it's my favorite Jason design. I'll go ahead and spoil that. I just love this design. What's not to love about it? You know, it's Kane Hodder's first performance as Jason, so the physical element is there. I think this is not human Jason, which does make me a little bit sad since I kind of prefer human Jason, but for zombie Jason, this is about the best you could ask for. The design here is very corpse-like, but in a way that feels so unique and like Jason, it taps into that human element. It's like you have the bare spine poking through Jason's shirt, the rib cage coming out the front, you know, the rotted like teeth on one side, the eye missing, and the skin kind of rotting, but in that waterlogged type of way. And I just feel like every element of this design works. Like it just feels so signaturely Jason. And after part 4, when Jason meets his demise, this is to me like the definitive Jason look after that point. It has that Camp Crystal Lake like permanent like wetness that I think like the best post-resurrection Jason looks have, but it's not excessive in a way that we're about to get to is. But yeah, I love this design. Well, you mean what's not to love? Come on, man. This is the peak of Jason design. We're every film since is really trying to get back to this. So having covered my favorite of the Jason designs, we're going to get into some ones that aren't film related before we get back into the film stuff. So these are like video game appearances, starting off with Jason in Mortal Kombat X. Hot take, man. Hot take. This is D tier for me. I do not like this design. So first off, Jason is way too buff in this. Jason should not be like conventionally attractive. He should be like this weird like hillbilly, like, I don't know. He shouldn't be this buff is what I'm trying to say. I feel like it's worked maybe once, and that was in the remake, but even then he had like a weird like lump on his back, and it like made him look less like conventionally attractive. This Jason looks fine, low key, like in the body. I don't know about the face. The mask, generic. The outfit, generic. The head, basically just like a stock head. To me, it's like, why would you even put Jason in a game when you're gonna make him look so like not like any of the Jasons from the movies? Leatherface is in this game and looks exactly like he does in the movie. Predator is in this game and looks exactly like it does in the movie. Same with the Xenomorph. So I know it was possible. I just feel like this Jason of the guest characters in MKX, he flopped the hardest. So I'm not in love with this design. Yeah. And then I think this is Multiverses. I don't know. I played Multiverses like once. I've never played Smash in my life, so I was like completely lost. But I heard Jason is in it now, and I kind of hate this design too. It's just really cartoonish in a way that's like not fun. There are cartoonish versions of Jason out there. I think like I've seen cartoons of the part 3 version where it really accentuates the shoulders because the shoulders in that movie are so broad. But here it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel inspired. This feels generic. So, sad to say, this Jason lands in the D tier for me too. Okay, Savini Jason from Friday the 13th, the game. This is like a bonus skin for Friday the 13th, the game, created by Tom Savini, basically going off the idea of like, what if Jason, I guess, like came out of hell, you know, like he's dragged to hell in the final Friday, part 9. And then we never really get to see like hell Jason, but this is him, I guess. So I'm a pretty big fan of this. I like characters that like have like a fire inside of them. I feel like that's cool, a cool design choice that I'm a fan of. But I can't really put this past B because I don't know. It's just not like, it could have been cooler, I suppose. It is pretty cool, but it could have been cooler. And I guess I will take this opportunity to talk about Friday the 13th, the game, a little bit, because somebody had commented when I posted my promo for July the 13th, you know, I hope this includes Friday the game. And I was like, for you, I'll talk more about it. So yeah, I love Friday the 13th, the game. I'm not someone who's ever had multiplayer in her life, so I played it one single player, which may sound super like lame and boring and not how the game is supposed to be played at all, which yeah, that's true. But I feel like I enjoyed it. It was fun for me. I had to really grind to get all those skins, but I played as Jason the whole time. Never played as a counselor in that game because counselor is like only multiplayer. I'm a big fan of it. You know, I think it's like a perfect distillation into a game of what the Friday experience is. And like what I would think of if I thought of a Friday the 13th game. Although I have heard they're working on like a single player horror one that I would really love to play because I'm a single player kind of person. I don't do all the multiplayer. I just don't. And I would love that. I would love something Friday the 13th in the style of like an Alien Isolation. But that's just me. So, you know, leave a comment if y'all enjoy Friday the 13th, the game. If you want a new one in a different style or in the same style, if you want the game brought back because it is in like legal turmoil, just let me know. Yeah, dope game. Okay, and still on Friday the 13th, the game, this is NES Jason, the skin from Friday the 13th, the game, and I guess also from the classic NES Jason game. This one also lands in D for me. I just feel like this like design, it's just a color swapped part 3, but I hate these colors. I get that it's retro, it's nostalgia, but I don't like these colors on Jason. They're just wrong. I'm not vibing with this. So it lands in D. Sorry if I'm angering some of y'all. I feel like if this was the 8-bit version, it might advance a spot. But you know, just as it is in Friday the game, nothing crazy. Okay, we are back to the films, starting off, I would say strong, with Friday Part 8. Let me shock y'all, because some of y'all definitely hate this design. Ugh, can I put it in A or B? I think it has to go in B. I am a fan of this design. Spoilers. But it sadly has to go in B because the face reveal is maybe the worst looking face of any Jason ever. Like, just, y'all look at this. This is hideous. It's awful. Not in the good way. Like, not hideous in the good way. Hideous in just the terrible way. Like, this is bad. But I love the look for Jason, main Jason in this film. I feel like people complain about it. He's perpetually like soaking this whole movie, but I kind of like that because this film is supposed to be, you know, Jason's been sitting in the lake for all these years, and I kind of like that his skin is like turned pale, and then it's kind of like, it looks waterlogged, like a, you know, like a corpse would, having sit in a lake for however many years. It's definitely not as good as, you know, part 7, which did that a lot better. But I'm still a pretty big fan of this design, and I feel like the hockey mask looks great here. And I think this design is awesome in the scenes where it's allowed to be awesome, like when Jason's walking through Times Square. Like I already said, the face reveal is ugly. But this is Kane Hodder as Jason, you know? It can't really be that bad. On from there, we have part 9, the final Friday. I'm about to piss some people off. I can tell already. This goes to A tier for me. I kind of love this design. And I feel like people always hate on it. They say it looks ugly. but I kind of love it. So first off, this is Kane Hodder as Jason. Awesome. I love Kane as Jason. He's obviously my favorite Jason actor. He's like everyone's favorite Jason actor. I feel like some of this design's appeal to me is because of nostalgia. I'll be honest about that. They used to play Final Friday a lot on TV, and I just feel like I connected with this design more than almost any other because so much of it is interesting. It's taking a risk, but it's still the same Jason like we already know. People complain about the head growing over the mask, but to me that's like so cool. It makes perfect sense. He's been wearing this mask for like decades and he's actively rotting. So yeah, like his body would kind of encase the mask onto him. I just think that's awesome. I don't get how you could hate on that. And then, like I said, physical performance is great. It's Kane Hodder. The outfit is maybe a little bit weak. I don't know if I like Jason with a tucked in shirt. He looks a little bit goofy, but I like just like the general body, how he's kind of like bigger in this because it looks like his body is like actually swelling up. Like there's like his body is giving out on him after all these years of, you know, decomposition. And I mean, he looks to be on the verge of exploding. And then in the first 10 minutes of the movie, he does in fact explode. Yeah. So I do enjoy this design. I'm not ashamed of it. The face reveal, okay, this is from the game, but realistically, we never see Jason's face in the movie, if my memory serves me right. So, I mean, this doesn't really count, but this is a fine face reveal. Like, I don't hate this. Although, point deduction for the fact that in the movie, his missing eye is on the right side. Come on, y'all could have fixed that. All right, and then we are moving on to Jason X. This is from the prologue of the movie where Jason is still, you know, not turned into a robot yet. And I'm not crazy about this skin or this skin. I'm thinking too much about the game. I give it a C tier. I feel like the hockey mask design is too angular. This gives like 2000s in a bad way. I like my Jasons with a little bit of hair. I feel like that humanizes him. I like more human Jasons. I'm a simple girl. What can I say? I've already stressed that. But this Jason has like a little bit too much hair. And I don't like the idea that he's like actively growing a full head of hair. That's just weird. So I'm not really crazy about this. It's in the C. Yeah. That's just my feelings. It is what it is. Okay. So we're going to Jason X now. This is still Jason X, but this is, you know, when he's been turned into an android or robot or whatever. And I'm actually quite a big fan of this. I'm going to put this, will it be B or will it be A? I feel like it's B. I can't quite put it up to A because some parts of this are ugly. I'm not in love with the head or the eyes. The mask is fine. I just really enjoy the body. I'm always a fan of like cyborg designs of like one arm and one leg being robotic and the other arm and leg are like human. Like that's just cool to me. So I'm happy that's what they went with for this. And then of course, again, Kane Hodder is playing Jason here. That's what's up. Gotta love that. And the face reveal here, we never see the face in the movie. So I can't really count this as like a artist rendition, but I guess that's probably what it would look like. Although I'm not really going to consider it because we don't really have confirmation on what the face would have looked like. Yeah, Jason X is cool. And the Uber Jason design is cool as well. Moving on from there, we have Freddy versus Jason. This is a design, maybe another hot take. I'm putting in the C. I don't like this design that much. So first off, the dude playing Jason in this, Ken Kersinger, he does a fine job. Should have been Kane Hodder, but he does a fine job. It's just like not, I don't know. He lacks kind of the more physical performance that I've come to associate with Jason. Jason is always like, you know, he's always doing. This is more of like a lumbering, just slow, methodical Jason, very Part 3 inspired. And I don't love that. I also feel like his head is a little bit too lumpy here, but also too small. Like, why does this Jason have such a small and lumpy head? I feel like he's never had that before. You know, when his head's been lumpy in the past, like in part 3, at least it's been big. But, you know, I guess go off. And then this is just kind of generic. This falls into the same pitfalls as I think like the Jason design from Mortal Kombat X does, where it's just a little bit basic. And we never see the face. So whatever this is, artist rendition, we never saw that. So I can't give points for that. This Jason's fine. It's serviceable. I like to see him fight Freddy. And I'm not mad that this was the design. This is a very safe Jason design. But I just feel like Jason, he benefits from being a little bit more interesting, a little bit more lively and interestingly designed. And here, I don't get that. So that's my opinion. Moving on from there, we have the remake, starting off with Jason when he has the bag on his head. So the remake does a little costume change like halfway through to give Jason a hockey mask. But at the start, he does have the sack, which is more of like a mummy design in this film, which I'm not crazy about. It's a C. I feel like this Jason up here, this was good. This was simple. It was straightforward. It was a sack on his head. This right here, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with this. This is like, I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm not a big fan of the head. The body is great. I like the Jason body in this. You know, he's a much more physical villain in this movie. And I feel like they did good giving him a more built like status. Like he feels taller and stronger, more muscular. But even then, like, I don't know. It's just the mask that I deduct points for. But we do get a hockey mask later in the film, which for me, this design goes up to the B with these other little freaks up here. This Jason design is good. You know, like I said, everything I already just mentioned, it stands. He's built. I love that he's built. I love the performance here. We don't get to see this face, but I like this face design a lot. And then the hockey mask, it looks good here. You know, it's solid. This is a great Jason design. I love when he has the more broad, muscular, like, kind of janky neck. And this has that. And he's just very physically imposing. Even if when he has the sack on, I don't love that as much. Going from there to close us out, because I'm not doing these weird little, what are these, like Roblox characters. I already mentioned Roblox. I love Roblox. But, you know, I'm not ranking these. But I will rank, what's it called? Never Hike Alone Jason, which I'm going to slot comfortably into the C tier. Because this Jason, Never Hike Alone, is like a fan film franchise at this point. If you're not aware, it's pretty cool. I like what I've seen of them. This Jason design though is just, and I mean, not as a disservice to them. They have a more limited budget, so I don't expect anything crazy. But this design is also kind of basic, as is the Freddy versus Jason design. You know, it has that more grayed out skin, which I'm not a huge fan of, as I've already discussed. And the Jason look is just a little bit more basic. Hockey mask is simple. The outfit is simple. The head, simple. But yeah, I'm not in love with this look for my boy Jason, which I guess that's sad to close it out. But before we go, I do want to try to rank all these like in proper order. So let's organize them around so we can end off on a high note. So I like NES Jason more than Multiverses Jason. I like NES Jason. No. I like Mortal Kombat X Jason more. I just don't like these colors. Never Hike Alone Jason's probably dead last in this column. Sackhead Jason from the remake is above that. Freddy vs. Jason is above that. Jason X Jason is probably behind the sack head from the remake. And fake Jason is gonna go over here behind Freddy vs. Jason. The remake Jason is, I will say, not quite as good as Uber Jason. I like this Jason more than Uber Jason. The Savini Jason is, I think, worse than Part 8, and perhaps worse than the Uber Jason. Yeah, that's fair. And then Part 6, I feel like, is a solid design. I like it less than Part 8. That's just me being honest. Part 2, big fan of. Like it less than part 8. And Kid Jason, you're gonna land, I think, all the way over here. I put you above this Hell Jason and the remake. And then getting to the A column, this is fine. Part 3 should be over part 9. This is my weird little freaky pick. And then replacement Dream Jason is less good than part 4 regular Jason, just because I think we see more of this. And of course, SS on top. So this is like undisputed the best. So dead last, better than this. Okay, 20 designs here, so let's count them down. At number 20, Multiverses Jason. At number 19, NES Jason. Number 18, Mortal Kombat X Jason. Number 17, Never Hike Alone Jason. Number 16 is going to be the Jason X like prologue Jason. Number 15 is going to be the Sackhead Jason from the remake. Number 14 is Replacement Jason from part 5. Number 13 is Freddy vs. Jason Jason. Number 12 is the remake Jason. Number 11 is the Savini Jason from the Friday game. Number 10, Kid Jason, seems fitting. Number 9, Uber Jason, pretty good design. Number 8, Part 6 Jason, it's cool. Number 7 is Baghead Jason from Part 2, his first appearance. Number 6 is Part 8 Jason when he goes to Manhattan. Then we get to our top 5. 5th place is going to be Part 9 Jason with the mask growing over the face. And then number 4 is going to be Part 3 Jason, basically the like definitive Jason look in some ways. Then 3rd place, by kind of default, is the Dream Sequence Jason from Part 5, just because it's basically the Part 4 design, which is number 2. And then number 1 is the New Blood design. First appearance of Kane Hodder. This feels very fitting. It's not gonna ruffle any feathers. It's a good pick. So that's basically my list. Y'all tell me what you think of it in the comments down below. Tune in next week when I come out with part 2 of my Friday video essay series. And then come back in the week after next when we do like a full series film ranking. I need to watch the last like few movies very soon so I can get that in order. But yeah, that's that. Hope y'all enjoyed this. A little bit of a chill video. Just need to get something out this week because my life is crazy right now. Lots of stuff happening. But yeah, as always, thank y'all for watching. I'm going to give a big shout out to my patrons. Y'all are what keep this channel going. And a very, very special shout out to my patrons in the shout out tiers. So big thank you to Brix Bailey, Gabriel H, Alex C, Mig D, Jake Eckenrode, Anya May, Onyx, Sophie Villarot, Adrian_R31, Always Myth Taken, Alex Mirabal, and Grace. That's what's up. So that's that. With that being said, I've been Ellie. Y'all have been wonderful. And until next time,